So this is a really funny story. Um, I had almost the whole band of the Hooters in my garage at one point. I'm real good friends with most of them, well, pretty much all of them, and I've known them forever. And when I was selling Walter Becker's gear, I had all the stuff delivered to my house, and I had this two-car garage, and Walter wanted me to make sure it was thermostatically controlled, so I put an air conditioning and all that in there, and had it insulated, so it was nice place for it. So I told Rob Hyman, he was putting his studio together, and Eric Bazillion, he has his own studio too. So I told him that I had all of Walter's stuff and I was selling them off. And they were asking me for a list, and the list was mile long. And there's a ton of stuff that Walter sent me. And it was all the stuff he had in Hawaii. So I had, drum kits and guitar amplifiers, no guitars. He didn't want to sell any of the guitars. But I also had all the rack gear and racks. And also I had things that studios needed, like mic stands and patch bays and adapters and power supplies and all that kind of stuff. So when I was telling the guys from the Hooters that I had all this stuff, and it'd probably be easier if they just came up here and picked out what they wanted, put it together, and I'll write it up for them. So they showed up one day. They said, "All right, we're going to come up." They came in a van, and all of them were in the garage. It was kind of like a pro audio yard sale. They were just taking things and go, okay, I could use this, I could use that, and they all made their piles of what they wanted. And at the end, they loaded it all in the van and took off. But it was kind of funny, like, to have the Hooters in the garage looking for all the gear. But I mean, they got some killer deals. I had a box of just adapters, and I think I sold them for like $5, and I think each adapter was worth more than that. But every price that I sold things for, Walter approved them, because when he sent me the list of everything he had, I priced up what I thought a fair market value was. And he looked at it and he said, "Yep, that's great." I think the only thing, I think it was the cymbals, he thought I was a little low on. And he had the Sony outboard gear, what was it, the M7, and there was these single rack space units. And he wasn't happy with what I was going to get for him. He said, "You know what? They're pretty useful." He said, "Just send them up to me in New York." So I did. But other than that, every guitar amplifier I think pretty much sold for about $500, which in retrospect they should have sold for a lot more. But it was funny that the whole Hooters band, Eric and Rob and I don't know if Dave came. I know John Lilly came. And I think Paul Hammond, who works over at their studio, the Elm Street Studios, he came too. But it was, there was mic panels. There was all kinds of stuff that when he sent me that sea container from Hawaii, it was just jam packed, and he had it so jam packed. When they put the stuff into the sea container, they stacked it up as high as they could, all the way to the ceiling. And then they put plywood and tied it down. And then they put another section of gear all the way to, so they made sure they got every single inch of that sea container filled up with all this gear. So when it showed up and they FedExed me the key and I opened it up, I was like, oh my God. I had to get a few people to help me unload the whole thing. So, but I got it all done. Got everything sold, and I think I told the story. I had all his money, and it's just sitting in a bank account. And he was coming through on a tour, and he said, "George, why don't you come backstage and bring that check with you?" I said, "We'll go to a drugstore and have some fun." I don't know what he meant by that, but I said okay. But I was like, "Oh, this is a gigantic check," but it was his money, so I went backstage, and actually, there's a picture of me and Walter and my son when I was backstage with him, and I gave his check. So there you go. I thought this would be an interesting story to hear.